Donald Trump addressing the DOJ allegations during a speech in Alabama last night, while also playing the hits, taking shots at other Republicans in the race. We're joined by Niall Stanage, White House columnist, with our partner, The Hill. Now, first thing I want to talk about is Trump going after Ron DeSantis in his usual manner, name-calling like he's done before. Let's take a listen to this soundbite.
Years later, they said, "Are you going to run for president against the former president?" And he said, "I have no comment." He said, "He has no comment. That means he's running." That son of a he's running. About 3 years later, they said to him, "Will you run against the president?" And he said, "I have no comment on that." I said, "He has no comment. That means he's running." I said, "That son of a is running."
Niall, we've heard Mr. Trump sound off, and we can expect him possibly to sound off again. What does this tell you, Niall?
Tells me that former President Trump believes, as he always has, that the way to victory is being the most dominant figure, continuing to adopt that sort of strongman or macho approach and belittling his opponents. Now, I understand that lots of people have issues with that on taste grounds, or that they feel it's unseemly. It has worked for him politically. I mean, it worked for him in 2016 when he came from nowhere to defeat many better-known Republican candidates. And I think in this instance, it's an attempt to keep minimising Ron DeSantis, who is his closest rival, but a rival who's lagging him by, what, almost 40 points at this stage, Nick.
In fact, we can almost say now that Mr. Trump possesses a master skill at emasculating his opponents. And this seems to be something that many of his supporters really do appreciate. I want to ask you, though, about political ramifications of potentially fast-tracking a court date, because we do know that that's also something that's in the works also with Mr. Trump and his indictments.
Yeah, we do, absolutely. I mean, this is a pivotal issue, Nick, because one of the key questions is obviously, are these cases going to land slap bang in the middle of primary season or in the middle of an election year? One of the other cases, the Mar-a-Lago case, a trial date has been set in May of next year, although that could perhaps be pushed back. In this most recent case pertaining to the attempts to overturn the election result, there's a hearing on August the 28th. There's supposed to be a trial set at that point. The political ramifications are pretty clear in that obviously the former president doesn't want to risk running and being convicted potentially in tandem with that. He, of course, pleads his innocence, but nonetheless, a trial during election season holds considerable perils for him.
And Niall, delaying a trial is also a strategy in and of itself. People may not like it, but if you are the criminal defendant, it is in your best interest to delay it as long as you can, if that works for you. Niall, I do want to ask you, though, that indictment came down last week. We all read through it. There were a number of co-conspirators that were not identified, but because of the different incidents that we've seen play out, and particularly in front of the committee, we know who some of them may be. Among them, Mr. Pence was cited several times in that indictment. And at one point, Mr. Trump says to Mike Pence, when he asked him to help him hold off that election, he says, "Mike, you're just too honest." Let's talk about that, because Mr. Pence is now selling merchandise based on what was said in that indictment, Niall.
Yeah, he is. In a way, that plays into Mike Pence's hands, because Pence's whole argument is that he remained faithful to the Constitution over the wishes of a then sitting president who wanted him to break with that Constitution, wanted him to make a ruling that he has no power to make, essentially overturning the result and refusing to count the election votes on Capitol Hill on January the 6th. So Pence can try to make some political capital out of this. The big caveat or asterisk I would put on that, Nick, is that Mike Pence's unfavourable numbers with Republican voters are quite high. And so even though there is, I think, understandably a lot of media praise and academic praise for what Mr. Pence did that day, it hasn't helped him out much with the Republican primary electorate so far.
And he still needs to get on that stage. Niall Stanage, White House columnist with The Hill. Thank you, Niall.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.